introduce Miss Deborah McCormick.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. And I just want to give it back to Callie. Like, we haven't known each other for very long, but talk about a person with a big heart, a person with a vision, a go-getter, somebody who just doesn't quit. I mean, she's the ultimate entrepreneur. So Thank you. I'm glad to be connected to you. I'm actually,
I'll be here.
okay, well, these are just my notes because I tend to take off on tangents. So let me just see a show of hands. How many of you have life insurance? How many of you have car insurance? How about house insurance? How many of you have legal insurance? Wow. What a concept, right? I'm going to tell you a story. 1972, this young man was a teacher during the day, and he had a life insurance business that night. One day he's coming home from school, and the oncoming traffic swerved into his lane. Boom, there was a big crash. They both ended up at the hospital. The woman was actually charged for careless driving. But guess what she did as soon as she got out of the hospital? She sued him, even though she was charged. So when somebody sues you, you have no choice but to show up and defend yourself, right? So the story that he tells us, and this was 54 years ago, he said, I had house insurance, I had car insurance, I had health insurance, but I didn't have legal insurance. And he basically lost the shirt off his back to be able to defend himself in court. So that's when he had that aha moment that we need to have legal insurance. So this is what I'm here to talk to you about today. This company, it's called PPLSI, so Prepaid Legal Service, Inc. And it's been in Canada for 26 years. It started 54 years ago in the States. So in all of North America, there's something like 4.4 million members. So if I told you, hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You just, okay, all right.
We can hear you.
So who here is an independent contractor? Anybody? Okay. Who here owns their own small business? Okay. Who here has employees? Okay. And who has client information on their data? Ooh, okay. So here's the thing. If I told you that you could have access to a lawyer 24/7 just tapping an app on your phone for between $50 a month or $99 a month, depending on the plan that you take, how many people would say, yeah, I can use a lawyer?
I've had to use them 5 times.
Okay. Well, if somebody told me 10 years ago that I used a lawyer 8 times in 6 months, I wouldn't have believed them, because I always thought, I'm a good law-abiding citizen. What do I need a lawyer for? Well, then the unexpected happened. The moving van that moved me from Ontario to Vancouver lost, well, now we know they stole, $18,000 worth of our stuff. So I just called a random law office and I said, what can I do to pursue this? $1,000 retainer, $500 an hour. So I had to rethink this. I was pretty sure I'd never see my stuff again. And it was things that now I can look back and say they carefully chose from the different pallets. My husband's hunting guns, my fur coats, my ski equipment, my ski garments and stuff, things that were easy to turn around and sell. So I knew I'd not see them again. And I remember thinking to myself, do I really want to spend $15,000, $20,000 pursuing this when but then there was a part of me that's going, I want justice done, because if he screwed me, he probably screwed a bunch of other people. So I was talking to a neighbor and ranting about this, actually. And she said, well, have you heard of a company called Legal Shield? And I said, no, what's that about? They said, well, really, you can pay a membership to have access to a lawyer 24/7. As long as you have a phone, you can access a lawyer. And for a year membership, for a family membership, personal membership, it's $388. I'm going, $388 for a whole year, unlimited phone calls, unlimited issues. And this lawyer said $500 an hour to me, it was a no-brainer. It's like, yes, sign me up. So like I said, I used them 8 times. Another unexpected thing happened was that I got a phone call from not a phone call, an email from a timeshare that we owned 20 years ago. And they said, we need you to sign off on this contract because we're claiming bankruptcy. And I said to my husband, the lawyer that wrote that for the timeshare company has their best interest in mind. So I have Legal Shield. Let me just ask the lawyer to look over my contract. She looked it over, sent it back to me, highlighted 3 or 4 different places. And she said, tell them you won't sign this unless they change this, this, and this. I sent the email back stating, and here's the power of being able to say, I consulted with my lawyer and she said not to sign this, and never even heard from them again. And then I used them to get my will done. I had some issues with my dad after he passed. We weren't getting the money from the estate. It was like 3 years later. And I said to the lawyer, so I called the lawyer, could they be taking my dad's money and investing it so that I'm not getting it and they're reaping the, and he said, yeah, sure, that could be happening. So he walked me through a process. It was 4 or 5 phone calls later. And then eventually the money was dumped in our bank accounts, So it's just having the power of a lawyer advocating for you. So in the business world, let me ask you some quick questions. How many of you have hiring and firing issues? How many of you might have some issues around sexual harassment allegations, workplace discrimination, flood, fire, or emergency, online slander, rezoning or construction, injuries on your property, you're being sued, healthcare laws? Do you know all of the different compliance rules and regulations around that? What if a landlord entered without consent? Do you know what to do about that? What if somebody has false medical claims? What if you have a data breach?
That's a big one.
Yeah. So here's the thing I want to say about that, because Legal Shield has business plans, family individual plans, and has identity theft protection. So as a business owner, let's say you have 500 clients and you have all of their data. If your data is breached, number one, by law, you have to notify each of these clients, okay? And then all you need is one pissed off client to say you should have properly secured our information, and they can sue you. Because that's what happened with ICBC, I think it was 6 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, I got a check for that.
Yeah. So it took 2 years, but finally the courts ruled that ICBC didn't properly protect their clients' information. And I think they had to pay out something like $4.3 million,
Everybody got $100.
Yeah. But just as a business owner, you need to be aware of that, right? That if you're not properly protecting their information, somebody can come back at you. There's also employee benefits, leasing equipment. If somebody's not honoring your warranty, there's all kinds of little reasons. So we actually have a handout, and I'll ask you to go through and just see how many of those that you could actually relate to. Because a lot of times we don't think of the little things that we would pick up when you send it to them. Yeah.
So we have a couple questionnaires for you guys. And so we have a few different categories here. So if you own your own business, okay, so there's 3 different ones.
Yeah, this independent contractor
Are you an independent contractor? Put your hand up. You. Anybody else? Your DJ business is an independent contractor. Yes. Are you an independent contractor? Yeah.
Okay, and you, sir?
Over here.
Who just said that? Oh.
And this one, do you own your own business? Do you have employees? Okay.
I don't think anybody had employees. Yeah.
Well, this
Sure.
If you don't mind to fill it out, Deborah's going to take it with you, and if you guys want to do a call privately with her, you can definitely do that. So anybody else that owns their own business or has employees? Do you have independent contractors under your roof? That was the one for you. Anybody else?
So this is just to give you some ideas of some typical little issues that you can use a lawyer for. Hi, hon. What's your business?
And
but this-
Are you an independent?
Like an immigration business.
Okay, I'll give you one of these.
policies and procedures for staff.
Here, let me give you.
There's this one's missing.
Yeah, this has some on both sides with, and I'm happy to do a consultation
Awesome.
for free.
Thank you, Deb.